Is it time for Lewis Hamilton to hang it up? There's a phrase often trotted out about high level sports stars and when to call it a day, that some most don't retire from the sport they love. They allow it to retire them. Is Lewis Hamilton now, at the ripe old age of nearly 41, at risk of something similar, Pete?
Well, if he retires and Fernando Alonso wins the World Championship next year in an Adrian
Oh,
Newey car, age what, 44?
yeah.
How's Lewis going to feel? Not very good, I think. So I don't think the age is a factor, as I've said all along. I think, I mean, we're assuming Lewis went to Ferrari for three reasons. One, because he was bored and annoyed by everything that was going on at Mercedes. Two, he loved the feel of going to Ferrari as a racing kid. You always want to drive for Ferrari, and that's fair enough. And three, a lot of money. Now, the Mercedes things worked out okay. I'm sure he's glad he's not there anymore. I think the money thing has probably worked out okay. And assuming they haven't paid him in cryptocurrency or something horrendous. Um, but the third one, the Ferrari thing, he's got it completely wrong because he went there. I think it was just a given that he would be right there with Charles, and sometimes Charles might be a little bit ahead, but he'd be racing Charles. And if the car's capable of winning, he'll have his fair share of race wins. And that's, don't even think about that. And you enjoy the pasta and everything. But of course, the whole problem is, as predicted, that Charles was always going to blow him away because he got blown away by George at Mercedes. So there was no way he was going to go into Ferrari and beat Charles, who's even better than George. And so it's proved. And because Lewis never anticipated that, he had no ammunition with which to cope. He couldn't retaliate in any way. He didn't know what to do. It never happened to him before. And that's where we find him. And I think the only way he can continue now is if he forgets about all that Charles business and just tries to enjoy his life at Ferrari and hope that they have a really good, easy car to drive next year, and he'll be fine. Because I think it's too late now for Lewis to become a driver capable of beating Charles Leclerc. He could have done it if he'd worked hard at it over the winter last year, in the anticipation that it was going to be difficult to beat Charles. But quite clearly, the thought never occurred to him, and therefore he didn't do any work over the winter as a driver. He did a lot of other work, presumably, or whatever he did over the winter, I don't know. But it's too late now, I think. He's too ingrained in what he does quite badly ever to make any changes now. So the only way he can continue would be if he just floats through it all and enjoys it all and he's relaxed. And he's not, is he? I mean, he's got that terrible, supercilious, cynical thing now where you try and talk to him and he tries to, he thinks it's quite clever not to give any decent answers because John Elkann has suddenly said the drivers talk too much. I mean, that's just juvenile, in my opinion. And he should never have, he should never have allowed John Elkann to say that because I think John was the guy that got him in the first place. So they're obviously pretty close. But beyond that, he should be saying, well, John Elkann has said that, but the reality is I do want to talk about the car, and we're not going to make progress unless people understand what the problems are. And just talk to people like adults, and everything will be fine. But all this sort of hiding away with a smirk, saying, "Oh, the weather's going to be good" or something, it doesn't achieve anything, I don't think.
It's not very edifying. But if I play defense on Sir Lewis, I can't. I don't. I don't want to overlay on Sir Lewis Hamilton a Peter Windsor level of eloquence in the first instance. I think that would be. I think I'd be doing Lewis Hamilton a disservice to expect that of him. But I don't know else. I don't know what else he can do. I don't know what else I expect Lewis Hamilton to do, Peter. I mean, he's desperately trying to change the working culture
Just
from
be a
the
human
inside.
being. He's a seven times world champion with $1 trillion in the bank account. He's got the greatest life on the planet. He's driving a beautiful Ferrari racing car. Relax. And the more he relaxes and enjoys his life, I guarantee the better he will drive. And just he's done all that stuff. He's done all the brand stuff. He's done all the money stuff. Just become a racing driver again. Use this time, this last period in his life as a racing driver at Ferrari to become the kid who was so good at Rye House and Butmore Park, and go out and be that driver. Have the same helmet color. Rediscover yourself and become that driver. Don't be the brand ambassador for Lewis Hamilton. Don't be the brand ambassador for Ferrari. Just be this racing driver. That's what the best advice I could give him. And it's quite simple, really. But I don't think he's going to do that, sadly. I think he's just too big a phenomenon in his own mind now, probably.
Peter, I'm not even sure. I think we might be asking Lewis to do impossible things here. Can you unwind that back? Can you overtype all of the trauma on the back of 2021 and getting beat by George when you didn't expect it, asking Toto to keep Valtteri Bottas and he says no, we're going to usher in the new era with George, and now as of the time of writing 78 points, more than 3 race wins between him and Charles. I don't think you go through those and can even be the same person. I think Ryehouse Sir Lewis is gone, never to be seen again. Peter, I as a Sir Lewis Hamilton fan am expecting him to do impossible things. I don't think 2018 Singapore Sir Lewis. I'm not sure we'll ever see that chap again, Peter. Sadly,
No. I think there's a cataclysmic change after Abu Dhabi 21. And I did say that at the time. I thought, I think I did one live stream and said I wouldn't be surprised if he retires now because too many things have happened here. This is too big a shock to lose the championship the way he did, and then to have Mercedes say you can't have Valtteri Bottas, you've got to have George Russell, and then to give him a ridiculously bad car. So there was a triple whammy there, and it was almost impossible to recover. But my point is, he got to the end of that and he did go through the next 2 or 3 years. And then he did get the big offer from Ferrari. And that was the moment to rediscover himself, to get rid of all that stuff and then to become Ryehouse Buckmore Park again and to be Lewis Hamilton. Yes, with the massive retainer. Yes, with the red Ferrari and the beautiful badge and the pasta and the country and the road cars. But ultimately, the pure Lewis Hamilton racer who we know and love. But he didn't do that. Because that Lewis Hamilton would have looked very carefully at Charles Leclerc and said, right, how am I going to beat this guy? But he didn't do that quite clearly because he didn't work on a lot of the driving flaws that had built up in his repertoire in those last 2 years at Mercedes. And that's the problem. Last 3 years, actually. 2 to 3 to 4, yeah. Last 3 years. And that's the problem. He didn't work hard enough over the winter on his driving. And as you say, is it too late now? I think it probably is. The only way I think he can go forward now, if he doesn't want to retire, is to just be relaxed, enjoy life, enjoy being a racing driver, preferably get a nice little apartment in Maranello and hang out with the guys in this 1 year of his life, give it the best shot he's got, be there every day, go and have lunch at the Cavallino with whoever, and just be relaxed with everybody. Yeah. And let the cards fall where they may. He's obviously not going to do much work on his driving as such, and not much is going to change at Ferrari in terms of strategy calls or management because, they've missed the boat on all that. It's interesting just reflecting on the Adrian Newey team principal thing, which, as I said, I think he's been a team principal for a long time, except in name, and good on Aston Martin for realizing that finally and doing that. And they'll get the best from Adrian now. But they're going to have to take a lot of stuff from Adrian, including Lawrence Stroll. That'll be an interesting battle. But it does kind of explain why Ferrari didn't hire Adrian Newey in the end, because I guess they sensed that that's what would have happened. And Freddie might have lost his job and Adrian would have taken over the whole thing. Now, if I was John Alcon, I would have said, well, yeah, okay, good, do it, if that's what it takes. But I guess too many people realized that if Adrian came, they might lose their jobs or things would be difficult for them. And so therefore, the whole thing was knocked on the head. I think that's a mistake. But then, that's just me. I think the money that Lewis made Ferrari in terms of the stock price going up versus the money they're paying him, I think a lot more money would have been made by Ferrari had they hired Adrian Newey and kept Carlos Sainz. Even if running Adrian had its own costs built in, 2 years down the road, that company would have been worth a lot more than it is worth now because of the success. Ferrari win another world championship. What would that do for their success? That's much more important than a short-term stock price elevation due to hiring Lewis Hamilton, in my opinion. And having a great racing car is what it's all about. And Adrian would have given them that, but they said no. And so that was that. And he went to Aston Martin. Great shame for Ferrari, but that's where it is. You've got to make the most of it now.